Alright, we're back with another video. This is going to be a mix of a review of the brand new Molotow markers as well as a bit of a tutorial on sketchbooking, which a lot of you do, but you know, we need content, so I'll draw in the book. And it's raining today, so I won't be able to do anything outside. Initially, we were going to do a review on the these yellow fat caps, which are, Molotow calls them Molotow fat caps, I guess. Clash used to call them Clash fats. I mean, the manufacturers just name them whatever. So we'll do this once the sun comes back out, and you guys can see how this stuff rocks. But in the meantime, we got a wonderful assortment of brand new markers from Molotow. I believe 10 new colors. And this one in my hand is Purple Violet. Very nice shade of violet. We also got a, let's take a look here. We got turquoise, just turquoise, which is a really nice shade. We got fuchsia pink. We got magenta, we got shock blue, which people have been waiting for, and poison green, which is also a very popular color. And finally, Molotow did it. They came out with the nature white and the one for all marker. That way you have that nice, creamy, natural looking white for your more realistic imagery. For those who don't know, nature white means that it's a natural white, so it's not a pure white as the signal white, you know, like a wedding cake white. This is more of an eggshell off-white. So this is a great addition to the Molotow line, and they make fantastic white pens, so I think you'll really enjoy them. All in all, I'm a big fan of the Molotow paint markers in general. Me personally, I like them better than the Poscas, but those are also excellent markers too. Now, I wouldn't say I like them all better than Posca, because Posca has some really nice fine tips, metallics, and a bunch of other great stuff, so don't sleep on these. And we also got the Japanese imports, which are kind of fun. It's great to have in your set. Also, we're going to be featuring the Sakura mechanical pencil that we carry here. We started carrying these because I've been asking for us to get them. Normally I use these graphic gears by Pentel. There's another one I use made by Sakura as well too. But this is what we have in stock. I mean, any mechanical pencil will do you well. I personally like a 0.7. Some people like to go like the 0.5, 0.05. I mean, just it's really up to your taste. Personally, I like 0.7. That's what I like, because it doesn't break too easy. And honestly, I do more simple pieces these days. I like straight letter, train panels, subway painting. Don't do a lot of complex stuff. I just like to keep it simple, legible, and clean. All right, so we got that bad boy, and then we're also going to be outlining with this Micron pen. Y'all know what these are. Very, very popular. I got the 05, which is the largest one we carry at the moment, which is the perfect size for outlining your piece. So we're going to rock this bad boy, and you'll see how those go too. Also, I got a mystery pen. Look at these. These are a high quality Japanese graphic marker, see, made in Japan. There's one thing that the Japanese are the best at, is these dye-based graphic markers. Fantastic quality, they don't dry out quickly. Just got interrupted with a phone call. So anyways, back to these markers. These are your classic twin graphic markers made in Japan, alcohol-based. Excellent color palette. I want you all to see them, but I can't promote them because they're not giving us a good deal on pricing. So if they want my 50K plus 1,000 viewers to see how great their marker is, perhaps they should work us out a better deal. That is why we are working so closely with Magic Ink. They understand that. So that is a little bit shilly, but I'm being honest, man. I love these markers and I would love to review them for you. And you'll see how great they are. But until they can work something out with us, I am not going to promote their brand. Unlike Oberto, a local classic brand from Seattle. Now, I usually eat fried chicken strips a lot. And my wife doesn't really dig that. She wants to keep me around. So I switched to these. And I tell you, my brothers, nothing gets me going like a bag of nuts, some chicken tendies. If I have a long night drawing in my sketchbook, you need to have that energy to go. So, Oberto doesn't pay me shit to do this, but I like the product enough to say something nice about it. So guys, work something out with me here. I'll help you out. All right, back to the review. All right, welcome to part 2 of this video. So anyways, it's been a few weeks actually since I filmed the last part, so you probably have already seen the Fat Cat video by now. Anyways, long story short is we are going to bench the mystery marker. Sorry guys, we got a new recruit fresh off the roster. Copic markers in stock. So mystery marker, you're gonna have to take a back seat to these bad boys. Now anyone who's used a Copic marker knows what I'm talking about. These are the de rigueur in the sketch manga art world. These are alcohol based. They have a chisel nib. This particular model, the sketch one, has a brush tip on it, although there are some others that have different tips. This is just what I happen to have right now. Since these are in stock, I think it would be more appropriate to go ahead and showcase these, since you can already purchase these from us. Wouldn't be very fair. Although if Mystery Marker gave us a good deal, I would be more than honored to showcase their markers in a future video. And I just kicked that. There we go. Looks good enough. Anyways, so I'm pretty excited to use these. Copics are a name that everybody knows. You ask any artist, they can definitely swear by Copics. So those are definitely going in here. But I did learn a few things over the week. I was sketching around on some kid's name, and you know, I do pieces for people on their Blackbooks every once in a while. I don't paint a lot. I got a lot to do here these days. But I'm pretty excited by what I found out. So I went ahead and filled up one of our hit and go 2mm markers. And if you've used a 127 ever, they're a similar size nib configuration. Body's a little bit smaller, but they do pretty much the same thing. Although Molotow does have the Flowmaster valve, which is far superior. But if you're on a budget and you still want quality, these are Taiwanese made markers. These are not the cheap Chinese ones. These are very, very high quality. So if you want a decent quality marker, these would be a great choice if you're on a budget. So anyways, that said, I went ahead and filled this bad boy with some of that white magic ink we got, right? And I have to say I've been pretty happy with it. So this right here is a filling I did drawing a magic ink marker actually with the white. And you know, most of the time with white, you want to expect to do like 2 coats. But what you see that I'm going over right now, the first coat, was actually better than a lot of whites on their second coat. So flowing capability, the magic ink is definitely there. Smoother than what you get in a Deco. It's, you know, somewhere between a Deco and the Molotow 1-for-all. Yes, I know they're all different formulas. I'm just talking about the consistency, so don't get pedantic. But yeah, brothers, if you want a good white highlight, outline, pretty much any kind of white, if you want it in a solvent-based marker as opposed to the water-based, definitely get the magic ink in these little hit and goes, because you can do little detail works in there and you'll be very happy. And this marker's been running for about 2.5 weeks. Nib's still juicy. Alright, so enough with this little drawing. And oh, by the way, I wanted to show you, this was from the Mystery Pen. I'll give them that much of a shout out. Very nice coverage. If you use wet on wet technique, which I'll cover when we have a chance, you'll see that the Copic and the mystery markers are both very high quality, but we've already worked out some with Copic, so we're heading that direction. So let's close up this piece for now and get started with the homie. So yeah, I had that Kiora piece for that one kid, but I have to finish the Chaos one first because he is waiting longer. And a lot of kids ask me, you know, for advice on how to get styles and stuff, and I'm just basically going to give you what I learned. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but when I was a kid, we had this book called Subway Art, and as you can see, this is the original graffiti book covering New York, probably from, I would say, I don't remember, probably like 77 to 82 or 83, up until like the Beat Street era. You know, my mom took me to see Beat Street when I was a little kid. She took me out of school to go see that. She was cool. But yeah, this is basically your Bible, and if you don't have one, then you are a heretic to your religion of graffiti. So you go out and get one of these right now. We might have them on the site, but I kind of doubt it. You know, we actually were the world's largest retailer of graffiti books for quite some time. But you know, this little thing called Amazon happened, and the bottom fell out of the market. But we still carry some books. I don't know if we carry this particular one, although we should. But I doubt the publisher is has their head in the sand likely, and probably will charge us what we pay on Amazon. And you know, how the heck are we supposed to sell that? So maybe if the publisher wants to reach out and give us a good deal, we'll be able to supply you with this little piece of graffiti history. If not, you can buy it on Amazon for cost, because that's pretty much how most books are these days. Does that sound bitter? Maybe. Anyways, so when you want to learn how to do graffiti, the thing you got to do is bite. You know, I mean, everybody does it. It's not something to be ashamed of anymore. Like, it's funny, people are like, oh, you guy's a biter. Like, dude, everybody bites. So get yourself this book, because this will give you the foundation of everything you see people doing these days. I mean, no, you're right. You're not going to see some LTS, MSK styles in there, but this is your foundation. This is your soul. So get a copy of this book. Another thing we did when I was a kid is we got graffiti magazines. And this is another industry that's just completely bottomed out, you know, due to the internet. And it's a shame, because you see, the thing with the internet is it's a great source of imagery. I mean, basically, I love the internet. I mean, I'm on Instagram, I do all that shit. But there's something about a tactile feel of having a book and touching it, you know, and seeing, you know, holding a real picture of something when you're drawing it versus looking at it on a screen. Second of all, you shouldn't be looking at screens 24 hours a day. It's bad for your eyes. Although science is out on that one too. But I do know eye strain is a problem. So get yourself some tangible, tactile things, man. Some paper. You know, these are a great source of styles. Which is cool about magazines is they are often really regional. This particular one is called Balkans, which is a funny play on words, because it covers the Balkan regions. You guys know where the Balkans are? Burger education sometimes doesn't teach kids those things. The Balkans are very, very interesting part of the world, quite possibly some of the most beautiful areas of the world too, but also concentrated groups of different cultures that have coexisted and have fought with each other over thousands of years. Wars have started there, many of them. One in particular got started by, well, not started, but intervened by one Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's husband. And yeah, he did a really shitty job with that. But I digress. Anyways, get yourself some old mags. We still have a ton in stock. We just will never throw them away, even though they're not really worth a whole lot. So we usually put them in like gift packs and stuff. But man, there's never going to be a magazine era ever again. I mean, I think it's just dead. Which is really sad when someone calls me and wants to sell me their new magazine they're making. I'm just like, oh, what do I say to this person? Oh my God, look at that. You guys see that one? Europeans, they're so crazy. You know, Europe is so, which is a shame because they're getting overrun with all the Islamic terrorism now. I mean, they were such liberal democracies, right? And this is what happens. But anyways, so get yourself some really classic graffiti mags. Ask your older brother, whoever that taught you how to do graffiti. I'm sure they have a few kicking around. I'm sure somebody in your family has one of these if you're doing graffiti. You know what these are. So anyways, that's just my little primer on what mags to get. I spent 6 minutes talking about that. Can you believe it? All right, let's get to the sketch. All right, here comes part 3 of the video. I had to rip the page out of the sketchbook just because it's easier to move everything around with all these markers. So, sorry, sport, I'll be gluing it back in for you. Anyway, so I just did the S, and mystery marker does come back in one form. They make an outlining pen that I really like a lot, better than pretty much anybody, because you can use it with alcohol-based markers. I haven't tried it with the Copics in a long time. Actually, it's been quite a few years since I've used a Copic marker, so I'm excited to use them. But generally, like, I used to use this particular marker back in the day with Prismacolor pens, and they were a great combination because they would be inert to what was in the Prismacolor and wouldn't bleed. And they go on really nice. It's pigmented. Big fan of these markers, but we're not going to tell you who they're from. But anyways, I am outlining with it because it's honestly, it's my preferred outline pen. I like it better than anything we carry here. So, you know, it's just my style. I like kind of like a chunky, funky, Euro type centric kind of look. I also like freight train and subway graffiti, you know, and oftentimes it's a more simple style. And that's kind of like what I grew up in, you know. Some people like a real tech style, but that doesn't really translate well when you're doing like a piece or whatever on a train. So, you know, it's just whatever you do. But so don't worry about that. But we'll go ahead and get this outlined here really quick, and then we'll get to the next part because my battery is dying. You just want to work yourself around with the marker. I'm left-handed, so I work from the right to the left because I tend to drag a bit of the ink along with my fingers. So if you're left-handed, try to learn how to do it backwards, because that will help you, keep you at least from doing that. And that goes out to about there. So I'm gonna drop that bad boy like that. And I like how this line crosses over, so I'll keep that like that. I'll keep that end open because maybe I'll do something there too. I'm not quite sure yet. Although I like to keep them pretty simple. I don't like to get too tech. Just as long as it's kind of funky and weird looking is really all that I care about with it. Now with these double-sided pens, one thing you can do that I want to mention is with the thick pen, you don't get a very sharp point right there. So you could take the fine point, if you so desire. Sharpen up those edges. Does that make sense, guys? And you can see right there that line's not perfect. We can come back and fix that with the outline too. Now this just depends on how you like to draw, really. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, I don't even do this step. But, because I'm usually just proofing an idea that I want to paint on a wall. But if you want to get really tech with it, then you probably want to come back, clean up that stuff. Which I see nothing wrong with. Strive to be a little better, right? Should I strive to be a little better too? Maybe I should care. Alright, so yeah, this is just a basic outline of a piece. I prefer to do the outline first. Some people do not. When I'm painting with aerosol, I do the fill first, generally. But in the sketchbook, I like to get my idea drawn out, and then we'll fill in around it. So let's go on to the next step. Alright, next I'm going to go ahead and put in my splash. Yes, I will be putting in my splash before my 3D. That is how I like to sketch them out. So I'm going to be using this acid green Copic marker. It's a YG Young G 07 with the brush nib. And the whole like splash portion, everyone does it a little differently. I mean, you can just kind of, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm a firm believer in just kind of get loose. My buddy Jonathan always said that. He was a firm believer in getting loose. So you can have form and control, but you can still feel free to try different things. And one thing I want to highlight here as I fill in is I'm using what's called a wet on wet technique. And what you're doing is trying to go back over the previous lines you did within a short time frame to ensure that you get nice even opacity and coverage. It's kind of hard to do in the whole thing to get it perfect, but you know, this is just an idea so you can see how you can fill it in. So as you can see, the alcohol starts to dry, and if you hit right back over it again, what happens is it kind of gels together and you get a little bit of a smoother fill. Some people like to fill these in like they're using spray paint, but it doesn't quite work that way. So try to use a wet on wet technique. Don't try to go so broad with your fill. And this really only applies to the graphic markers, these alcohol-based ones. But when you do, you can see you get much more even coverage. It's not all splotchy like you would if you were to go like long distance kind of writing, because what would happen is the other half would be dry by the time you get back to the other side. And you know, and there's pros to cons and all that stuff, but wet on wet technique has been around as long as the Prismacolor markers. And notice how I'm bumping the edges a little bit. I'm just trying to test how how these markers interact with each other. And you're not getting a lot of overbleed, which is fantastic. Kudos to Mystery Marker and Copic for working so well together. So we'll go ahead and just continue to fill this bad boy in. And this is the paper from our new Blackbooks, by the way, in case you didn't know. We've been kind of taking a bit of a new approach to what we do in branding products and stuff, and you know, it's a lot of work, guys. It really is, and it's difficult to find companies who are willing to do good work for you. Our first Blackbook was an example of that. It was a nightmare. You know, we had it outsourced overseas. Company didn't come to their promises. You know, the paper wasn't as good as we liked it. You know, it's a lot of work, guys. You wouldn't believe how many times you will lose when you're trying to run a business. I think they say, what's the failure rate of a modern business? I think it's like, God, I want to say it's like 80% or something. It's pretty high. So there's been a lot of failures at ArtPrimo. There's also been a tremendous amount of success too. And that's kind of what happens when you're winning, is when you're learning how to win, you sometimes fail. So let me go ahead and finish filling this stuff in. Get this going here. I forgot my eraser. Normally I like to erase all the pencil stuff out beforehand. But I left it at home today, so we're gonna have to figure that one out. I guess I'll have to use the one off the mechanical pencil, which sucks because that's like an emergency eraser, really. Unless you have a whole stack of mechanical pencil erasers on deck. All right, so here, don't tell anybody, but I went over to Angel's desk and stole her eraser pen. So don't tell Angel. But these are great. There's nothing we don't carry, but we should. But these are just little basic Bic mechanical pencils, but they got this nice twisty up eraser. So baller on the budget, good option for you. One thing I want to mention: whenever you bring a eraser to your sketchbook, what you want to do is kind of clean it off first, because what you could do is end up rubbing the old crap onto your drawing. So make sure you clean it off before you erase. You don't want to be going in there dirty, boys. Ladies like a clean man. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase this really quick. These are just initial sketch marks I put in when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, because I don't write chaos. Sometimes you have to experiment a bit. And don't worry if you don't get them all out completely. I actually did part of the outline with this chunky mechanical pencil, or lumber pencil, which is a very soft lead that really gets in there. But again, you know, I'm a busy boy. I don't have time to do all these tech pieces. When I'm probably 50 and I have all the time in the world, I'll go back to doing tech pieces. But until then, I gotta keep it moving, like the 80s ladies man. All right. I don't know if you noticed that Mystery Pen does not get phased too much if you run over it with an eraser. That was one of the reasons why I really like this Mystery Outline Pen, or wherever, this thing right here. These are phenomenal. Give us a good deal, guys. I want to sell them to people. I want people to try them. Help us help you. All right, that's probably good enough. All right, so that part's done. All right, to give the splash a little bit more flavor, what I'm gonna do is take this Molotow Poison Green, the brand new Poison Greens we just got in, part of the whole new series of Molotow markers. Why didn't they do this when they first launched them? Why? You should have made these initially. But we have them now, better late than ever. So what I'm gonna do is put some Poison Green little droplets and goop and all kinds of stuff inside the splash part. And I like doing the splash first, honestly, because what you're doing is, think of it as layers on the paper. The way the materials work with each other, you know, the dye-based markers they're like a translucent dye, you know, so they need to go down before you use the opaque products, right? And where does it sit? It's the splash on the background. So I like to build them up from the back forward. So we're getting this bad boy filled in with some random stuff. You know, and again in my videos, I'm really just trying to show you how the markers work. So if you can burn me at piecing, I don't care. That's your job. You're supposed to be better at me than painting. My job is to find all the best products in the world for you and make videos about them. You know what? That's fun. I like talking to people. Get kids call me all the time asking me all these crazy questions about graffiti. Some of them ask me about girls. Just like the most random stuff, you know, like young kids. But that's tight, man. I mean, I wish I had that when I was that age. I just had like the dude on the block, you know. There was like the two like heavy metal guys that rode 10 speeds with BMX handlebars on them. You know, they were like 18 when I was like 12. And then there was like Al Cheeves, one of the Helltown boys. He was like a Hesher skater dude, and they were like a Cholo skater gang from the 80s. They were cool cats. They probably weren't the best role models, though. One time I stole an old skateboard out of Al's garage, and his little brother found out I took it. And so he snitched on me to Al. And so, so they took me over there to confess to him. And it was really funny because like I walk in there and Al's like, "Yo, did you take my board?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like 12-year-old kid. He's like, "You just wanted to do a crime, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He thought that was funny. Then he made fun of Milo, his brother, for snitching on me. I learned about a lot about life from those guys, actually. I learned a lot about life from those guys. We were like the little crew to those dudes. But I also saw a lot of fucked up stuff. And, you know, people in California can get really violent, man. A lot of unnecessary death in California. All right, so let's finish this bad boy up. So now I got some doop-de-doops, bunch of crap in there. Let me fill that in right there. Man, these markers are fantastic. I forgot how much I love the Copic. They are fantabuloso. I think I'm going to do like an outline over my splash too, but I'll wait till the end to do that. Now let's start with our primary fill color. Since we're using the greens, a lot of these greens here, I think I'm going to go with a different shade for the fill. Maybe like a fade between this turquoise and this pink, because the turquoise kind of plays off the green, but it's different enough to stand out, and the pink will be, you know, vastly different, obviously. You know, another thing about graphic pens is I prefer to use them in lighter shades. Often, you know, it's funny, whenever we sell the sets, we always sell out of the primary sets first. And those are always my least favorite sets, because they're all the really dark, opaque graphic pens. And the cool thing about graphic pens is starting with light shades and building up, almost like how they are transparent, right? You know, so, oh look, see, I need to fix that. Remember what I was talking about, that other pen? So we'll go back and fix that in a second. So, you know, the beauty of them is you start with a lighter color and you build up with the darker shades and you get like a really nice effect. And you know, that's all up to y'all's, you know, personal taste, of course, but I like to build up layers. Okay, so yeah, you know, I was doing the wet on wet technique, but I am stopping my line there because I'm going to do kind of like a fade between the two of them. I think what I'll do is that. Yeah. Damn, this song is tight. Who is this? You guys ever heard of Power Glove? I guess they're on that mix. I have a couple of their songs. I didn't know this one was them too. They're pretty tight. You know, definitely like retro gaming sounds and shit. Dark dystopian kind of sound to it, which I kind of dig. Being a graffiti guy, we kind of hang in the marginal areas of society. We like dark, dank, expansive places with big hulking walls and big old trains hanging out. I've often said graffiti writers are slightly autistic or got something going on. I myself, I'm ADHD, like big time. And so that's something I always have to work on. I didn't take pills for it as a kid, though. Still managed to graduate, thankfully. Back when I was a kid, they called that a learning disability. Now you get a medal. Alright, the top part's done. Top rockin', I guess. Alright, so we're going to go with the other turquoise on the bottom. You know, filling this stuff in, you just do whatever you want. You know, your style is you. But I'm just going with a thick, kind of simplistic look because, you know, we just don't have a lot of time. And honestly, that's kind of the stuff I like. We just had that guy Coop come in, but no one told me, of course, because nobody ever tells me anything. And people don't realize someone with ADHD, you can't just drop shit on them like that. That's why I work very hard to plan out my days. Because if I'm not disciplined, then I'm back on the corner drinking 40s and doing tags with everyone else. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Time and place for everything. But eventually you find yourself. And what is finding yourself? What is finding who you are, what you're made of in this world? A lot of that has to do with money, as much as people don't like to admit it. But it does. What are you going to make of yourself? Who are you going to provide for? How are you going to contribute to society? I mean, do you ever think about that shit? I hope you do. If you got a brain. Alright. Should I just keep that part white? That's kind of tight, actually. Just kind of like mess around and just kind of give it like a... One thing graffiti kids often don't ever consider is negative space. Go ahead and Google that, negative space. The negative space is just as important as what you're dealing with in the foreground, you know. So don't forget your background or the opposite areas of what you're working on. These brush chips are really tight because I don't know if you can see what I'm doing is I'm taking the nib, kind of like if you're doing calligraphy, and then dragging it and then pulling it up as I go across, and it creates kind of like a flared out kind of effect with it, which is kind of tight. Yeah, that's all right. Very Euro boy. Hey, Euro boy, what you doing, man? When I was younger, we used these Prismacolor markers a lot in our sketching. I don't use them anymore. The company was bought out by Prismacolor was bought out by Sanford. Initially, the pencils were made by this company called Barrel. They were a French company. And man, Prismacolor, you don't even know how good Prismacolor pencils used to be compared to now. Sanford just cheaped out and messed up the formula. Really ruined a good thing. Alright, so getting some nice complementary shades in there. I got some new Molotow colors here too. I got magenta and fuchsia pink. They might both look the same, but they're actually different when you see the actual colors themselves. You see that? The magenta is going to be a little bit darker than the fuchsia pink, so I might want to rock a little bit of that in my piece too. Also, we got Calypso Middle, which I think would hit off really good with this stuff. So let me shake up that bad boy, and we'll get that in there. Okay, the Molotow markers, just so you know, they are a acrylic paint pen, so they are not going to work or function in any way like a Copic marker. These are going to be gravity-fed, alcohol-based, translucent graphic design pens. These are opaque, highly opaque, acrylic, valve-fed markers. So you have to actuate the nib to feed the ink into the marker. So what you do is you shake it up. You don't have to shake these up. Don't ever shake these up. That would be silly. So what you need to do is just make sure you shake it up. And I've already pre-shaken it a bit, so we're pretty good to go. And then just get something to actuate the nib on. I got no paper. I'll just use this thing. All right. So if you can see here, you just want to push the nib down a few times. Oh yeah, baby. This is such a dope color in their spray paint line. If you don't have Calypso Middle Molotow spray paint, next time you put in an order, make sure you get some. So here's where I like the paint pens. The paint pen is opaque, so you can drop it on top of the graphic pen to give your artwork much more depth. You feel me? Since this is the lower part of the piece, we're almost kind of creating like a bit of a shadow area, right? Doesn't that kind of give it that effect? I think that's kind of cool. So as you can see, you need pretty much all the markers, not just the graphic markers for your Blackbook. You also need the paint pens to complement them. A good pencil. I'm still, after all these years, I'm still shopping around for a colored pencil that reminds me of those old barrel markers from the 80s and early 90s. Those things were really something special, and after all these years, I haven't found anything like it. Although I was at this art trade show was it last year? I think it was. They had these new ones from Eberhard Faber, I think it was. They had some artists doing some stuff with them. Supposedly they're pretty nice, so I'm gonna go check those out. But in the meantime, it'd be really nice if Molotow or someone sent us something. Waiting for you, boys. I gotta tell you, the Molotow people are probably some of the nicest people you ever met. I went to Germany this summer and got to hang out with them, and by far some of the greatest people in the world. Gorgeous, gorgeous people. You ever ate fish right out of a river in a restaurant? I did. All right, let's see. What else are we gonna do? So we got some other colors. We can drop the pinks and whatnot. So let's fucks with this magenta pen too, because I think that'll go good over the pink areas. What do you guys think? You think I should rock the magenta? This is just magenta, by the way. The new Molotow magenta. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the Molotow Caparso videos, that guy's a much better artist than me. But he has all the time in the world. He's European. They definitely have a better quality of life when it comes to art, living like an artist and whatnot. We need to fix that. Oh yeah, baby. So I'm just gonna do some kind of like breakaway, like weird effect. Yeah, this color is fantastic. Yeah, I could definitely fucks with this color. Guys, the new Magenta Molotow One for All marker is phenomenal. This color, the flow, the capabilities of it. I am in love. Like, if I could be in love with the marker, I would be in love with this one right now. Oh, that's dirty. That's dirty looking. I like it. All right. So let's just keep going, kids. This is gonna be a long ass video, man. Shit. Yep. She's all coming together, boys. All coming together. Let's see. And I'm going really cautiously because I don't want to overdo it with these colors. I want to showcase a lot of different colors on this, so I don't want to overpower you with one or too many colors here. So that's kind of what we're doing. This, my friends, is a jelly roll. Get that jelly roll, baby. These are classics. You'll love them. They're a pigmented ballpoint pen. And I think it would be a good option for just kind of bridging these two guys together with some kind of dank fineness, if you will. I think they're about 1 millimeter, but they're kind of one of the sicker markers on the market right now, and they're really, really underappreciated, really. Because I think they were kind of marketed towards women, you know, as like a crafting marker, but They're actually a great addition to your Blackbook, so definitely pick up a few of those. And yes, we do have the jelly rolls on the website, so go to artprimo.com. That is who I'm making videos for, by the way. And again, you just want to like kind of brush them around. You don't need to overdo it. These are metallic. I believe they have other ones as well. But I've always been a big fan of metallic colors, and that's kind of one of the things that I've been asking people to make is that no one is making a metallic clear lacquer spray for graffiti art. Think about it. Nobody's made that. Nobody. Wouldn't that be tight? I'd be using it. All right, so the jelly roll is a good addition. I think you should definitely rock a few of these. Never really had a problem with them clogging up or anything like that, so you should be okay. As long as you keep them capped. Make sure you keep your markers nice and capped. Especially these graphic markers while we're at it. Oftentimes people just kind of set the cap on and it's not all the way. Make sure it's all the way cap tight because they will dry it out. All right, where are we going with this thing? Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, so this is a good point where we probably want to like kind of clean up our outline a bit. So let me go take a whiz and I'll be right back and we can talk about that. All right, I got to finish this thing up, man. They're coming to pick up our orders today and I need to get done. All right, so you can see where I kind of filled that in right there. Kind of just took the thin tip and just, you know, brought the corner back together, bringing them together, baby. That's what we be doing. And again, I'm just trying to get this all finished up here so we can move on to the next step of the lettering. All right, good enough, just good enough, right? Good enough for government work. All right, so let's go ahead and start doing the 3D. To keep things simple, I like to do a 3D style that I call the paper fold or the paper push, where you imagine it's like a piece of paper underneath that's cut out the same shape, and you just happen to push it over to expose it. Does that make sense? It's just an easy way to do a 3D. Like I said, I'm really busy. Got a lot going on. This young man has things going on in the world. Does that make sense, guys? Just kind of imagine it like a piece of paper. You just had two of them cut out and one of them just kind of shifted over a bit. Good, easy way to do a 3D. We'll do a more complicated one later. Just trying to get this finished. Because I want to make other videos. And this one's kind of been hanging over me for a while. And I know I say I like to go right to left. I do both. Sometimes. All right, let's take a look here. Oops, there's something lumpy under there that made my 3D bigger than it was. What was that? I don't know. Oh yeah, so like I said, just finish that little part. We'll be good to go, baby, good to go. All right, so now we got some 3D in there. Let's do our halo and shines. Well, we do that halo, baby. What do we use for the halo? What color haven't I used yet? What's this one? No, I've used that. Could use this light gray. That's kind of a different color. This is Molotow light. Gray blue light. Look at that. Gray blue light. That sounds nice. Nice shade of neutral gray. All right, the next part, what I'm going to do is just start to paint in the halo portion of the piece. And I probably would use a different color, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to use the gray because it's one of the new colors and I want to try it. As always, Molotow never, ever disappoints me. Their product is like the Starbucks of graffiti supplies. Consistent. When it comes to paint pens, they are in a class all by themselves. There we go. Forgot to put on music, shit. And look, there's a part, I forgot a 3D there, so I just dropped that bad boy over like that just to give it something. I think to make the video shorter, I'll fast forward through some of these parts too. All right, so that's the outer on. We're about to put the shines and do the final cleanup. I'm gonna bail from the warehouse right now because the guys next door in the metal shop are basically playing Inagata Davida with their tools, and I can't get anything done over here because it's just loud as hell. So I'm gonna bail. I'll be back in a few seconds and we'll finish up at my house. All right, guys, I'll see you in a second. Oh, all right, back to the next part. So I kind of sped ahead on the video, and I'll just kind of give you a quick little update of what I did. I just took the fine tip of this marker, and again, you can use any marker you like. We have these as well, and I'll definitely showcase these, but my personal favorite is this marker, so help us out, Mystery Brand. And what you want to do is go around your piece and find wherever there's a line that might need a bit brushing up, and, you know, I fixed this because remember it was like really clunky there before. This part of the A wasn't looking very strong on this side, so I made the line a bit stronger here, but you can see where it kind of bends in here, so what I'll have to do is come back with the paint color and go right over it with that. And so I'll probably use whatever this green was. I think it was the Middle Calypso. So I'll cut back with the Middle Calypso, and that's what the paint pens really come in handy, is you can go opaque over that black line and clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit more solid. Let me see if I have that Middle Calypso open. I don't think I do. Oh, you know what I actually could do is I'll use the white and I'll drop a shine over that. Well, let me cover it with the Middle Calypso first, just to give it a little basis. Anyways, that's just like the cleanup part. So let's do that and put some shines on this bad boy and wrap this video up. Yeah, so I'll just take that Middle Calypso and just kind of bring that line back. You're probably going to be like, but it doesn't match the other color. It doesn't have to. Don't you remember Happy Accidents? Did you not ever watch a Bob Ross video? Happy accidents, friends. Happy accidents. All right, but now that line looks better. Yay. Let's go ahead and get this going. I think we need to drop some shines in this bad boy. Actually, before we do that, I want to showcase some of these more of these Poscas that we got in. These are pretty tight. These are a fine tip marker. It looks kind of like a crossover nib, but it's actually, let's see if I can bring it a little closer here. It's like a crossover nib, but it is a little bit bigger, like a 2 mil, but it holds up really well. It flows the metallic paints very nicely, actually. So let's shake this bad boy up. Now, my big beef with Posca is not the quality of the ink, is they kind of jip you on the ink amount. When you compare a Molotow One for All to the Posca markers, there's significantly less ink in them. Molotow definitely gives you more for your money. Also, Molotow offers refills, which Posca doesn't seem to, at least not at this moment. That said, the Posca the metallic colors in the Posca line are phenomenal. And they're the only brand I know that does a metallic paint pen like this. Molotow doesn't even do it. I mean, they do have metallics, but they're not like this. This is like that classic 1970s Evel Knievel, like candy metallics that look really cool that nobody seems to be making except for Posca these days. So Molotow guys, get on this. Actually, when is Molotow gonna make transparent metallics? Guys, you would kill with those. I know you guys are watching too. So please, give me some transparent metallics, guys. You guys would destroy. All right, so now we're just adding some little blobs and whatever to this. This is just to give us another example of the different markers we're using. So I just want you to see how they work. And yeah, so the Posca metallics are going to be a little bit more transparent than the solid one for all colors. I think if Molotow made them, they would probably be equally as transparent. And that's just kind of the nature if you want these metallics to flow. So just keep that in mind. That is the nature of these type of inks. I love these. These remind me of like vintage Japanese stuff. Like I remember when I was a kid, I'm just starting to age myself, but when I was a kid, you get like Japanese toys and they were so hard to find back in the day. And they would have like these clear plastics that had metallic particles in them and look just like this. Dude, Posca, you guys rule. But give us more ink. Molotow hooks it up. Molotow gives us very nice opaque markers that have very full barrels. Molotow, you really rule. All right, so let's take a look here. I think it's about time to drop some shines on this bad boy. And I want to take a little break to give a shout out to my dudes over at Chomps. Hook me up with this nice grass-fed beef snack. Gluten-free for all you gluten-free people. You know, your fake celiac people. I really feel bad for people who actually have celiac disease. You know, when they go to a restaurant and they're probably like, "Oh man, my doctor says I got celiac, I can't eat this," and the waiter's probably like, "Man, another one of these motherfuckers, right?" It's pretty good, actually. What is this made out of? Grass-fed beef, water, salt, citric acid, celery juice, pepper, garlic powder. This is all stuff that I can actually read. This is fantastic. Much better than a Slim Jim. Guys, you got to get on these. Chomps. Chomps, brother. You hear that mystery marker? You hear that mystery marker? This could be you. But it's not. I'm eating chomps. All right, let's do some shines. All right, guys, here comes my favorite and least favorite part of the piece, dropping in some shines. And my favorite and least favorite is that I like putting them in. I just hate it when I mess them up. And then you can't go back and fix it. Well, you can without... Sometimes it's such a bitch to do that. So right now I'm just priming the nib on this hit and go marker. Remember, I filled it with magic ink. Great stuff. Because I wanted to see how it worked on the shines. And I know Molotow sent me a Nature White marker, but I'm saving that for another video. So you'll see that up soon. All right, so let's take a look at how it writes. Now, when you're doing shines, the whole point of a shine is to simulate light reflecting off of your letters like they're a three-dimensional object or something, right? So what you want to do is drop your shine generally on the opposite side of where your shadow is, but also you have to keep in mind that there's spillover light that wraps around too. That's something that people forget. But you know, you could do it a whole bunch of different ways. Back in the day, we didn't even do shines. We did what was called an inline, and you would just outline the whole inside of the piece. Some people still do that now. That's like extremely it just takes a long time to do that. So I'm just, again, you know, I'm a busy guy, and I honestly just like chunky, simple pieces and big fat shines. I love that stuff. So let's start with the S, because again, is this still wet? Damn it. Let's start with the S, because again, I prefer to move from right to left as a left-handed person. And again, as the 3D goes that way, the shines are going to be on the right hand side. So I usually start with an area like this. And remember, when you're doing it, you often have to pick up the pen. So I try to start with like the fat end first of my shine and then move on around like that. And then I'll connect it right here and bring it down. It's probably a good moment to like stop drinking coffee if you're drinking coffee, because your hands will be shaky. Make sure your nib is very well saturated, guys. Get plenty of ink flowing in there. And don't be afraid to do it. You'll definitely break a few eggs while you're doing this. There's no doubt about that. I remember one time I was talking to Vex, and he told me that the way he judges people on their pieces is on how good they do their shines. I was like, what? But it makes sense. If you can't do your shines, then what's the point? You got to turn the lights on that bad boy, right? All right, so let me just get my first layer of white in here, and we'll go back over it again to ensure ultimate opacity. And I'm slightly cutting back. Ooh, kind of messed up right there. I'm slightly cutting back on the black just to sharpen up the edge a bit. And that's up to you how you want to do it. Another thing you can do too is not drag the nib too much. Kind of go a little bit lighter with it. Because when you drag the nib, oftentimes you're just pushing the felt and not drawing the ink. So try to lift up the nib just a tad while you're dropping the shines in there, and you'll get more even, consistent flow. Don't be afraid to flip the paper over. Do it all the time. Alright, I can't wait to get on the second layer of white on this bad boy. Oh yeah, my weird line that I did here? Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, baby. Just line her up, line her up, line her up. Alright, so it looks like the first layer of white is down. Let's let it dry for a second, and then we'll drop the second layer of white on top of that. I guess in the meantime, what I'm going to do is just draw a little outline on my splash, just for fun, just for shits and giggles. See, I've used that magenta already. Use the poison green. Oh yeah, what's this? Ooh, the new turquoise from Molotow. I think that'll be a great color to outline my splash with. Alright, so make sure you get the nib nice and primed. Look at me, I'm just beating this thing up. Ooh, yeah, look at that turquoise. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Oh yeah. Alright, so while the white dries, let's do this bad boy. I could have done this earlier, but I just wasn't thinking about it. You know, you can layer your piece however you want. As I say to my wife, whenever we have a disagreement on something, I tell her, you do you, I do me. And when we come back together, we will be chill. Usually works out pretty good. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Let me see. What was I even talking about? Guys, I think this looks fantastic. Let's do another thickening of that line. This Molotow turquoise is phenomenal. Very thick, opaque, as all the One For All colors are. I think the artist, the graffiti writer, and the crafter will be more than satisfied with them. Alrighty, let's see here. I guess I'll check out the comments of this video to see what you guys are interested in, because honestly, I'm just doing this because a kid asked me to do his Blackbook. So let me know what other products you guys want me to review. I'll be happy to do that. You know, I mean, I could get even crazier and fill in this white space, but honestly, I just don't have time. I'm very busy today. So let's let this dry and we'll drop the white shine, the finished part of the white shine on it, and then we'll call it good. Of course, I had to run and get a phone call. My work is never done here. So anyways, let me finish up these shines so we can end this video and I can go make another one. I try to come here on the weekends and film, that way I'm not around other people. Honestly, I work best when I'm alone, which was kind of like my graffiti career actually. And my skateboarding career. If you're not going out in the middle of the night skateboarding by yourself, then you're not skateboarding. That's for sure. All right, so let's just finish up these shines, call it a day, and yeah, make ArtPrimo great again. All right, you notice that on the second layer, it instantly gets way more opaque. It's because you're putting down a little layer of that oil-based stuff. Just gives it a little bit of a base. You know, what I'm also going to do is come back with the black and cut back a little bit just to give it a little bit more sharpness. Now again, I don't normally draw like this. I usually just do a quick sketch, go paint a wall. But we want to show like people using markers and stuff because we sell markers and a lot of people love to Blackbook. I do too. I just wish I had time to. I just don't have time anymore. What does my dog want? All right, guys. I'll be back. My dog is whining at me. All right. I got to give the micron a little bit of love in here. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting back on these white shines a bit with the micron just to sharpen them up just a tad. You don't need to do a whole lot. Just enough to give it depth. Bring these lines here. The microns are fantastic markers. Probably one of our more popular liner pens. And, you know, I've used them for years. I used to be a big fan of the really, really fine point ones. And I would do these, when I was your guys' age, I used to do these really detailed drawings, you know, because I didn't have a job and all I did was graffiti. Guys, you are living the life right now. I'll tell you what. But I'm really happy that I can bring this stuff to you, you know. I told my mom back in the early 90s that graffiti would be my job. She said I was crazy. Well, who's crazy now? I also told her skateboarding would be an Olympic sport, and she also told me I was crazy. Guess what's an Olympic sport now? All right, guys, what's up? I just want to get back with y'all. I just got back from my house and did a little addition to the drawing, as you can see. Yes, I know it's not in the video. I'm sorry. You know, when creativity hits, you got to take advantage of it. You got to ride that wave. And I wanted to hit up my homie Harambe and take a chance to try out these new Copic Grey scales. Love working in grayscales. So we're not going to do a character video today, but we'll do that in a future video, so don't sweat. But I'll do like a little basic of what I did is I sketched it out like a piece, pinned it out with the micron, and then I started hitting it with the Copic. And usually when I'm piecing with spray paint, I usually work from dark to light. And that's generally kind of how you do it with the markers, but it just depends. Sometimes you go the opposite direction. With this one, I worked from light to dark in the sense that I laid it all out with the light toner gray T1, and then I started filling it in with the neutral gray, and now I'm on toner T6 right now. And I'll start hitting some of the darker areas with this color here, which is toner gray number 8. And, you know, you can kind of get into the cracks with it like that. You know, just kind of test it out. So I'm probably just gonna feel it. That looks a little dark for my taste, so maybe I won't use those colors. But the cool thing is I can come back with this toner number 6 kind of blend it into the shadow. Oh yeah, that's probably about as dark as I want to get. And then come back with that other color and just kind of beat it back a little bit just to give it the illusion of a shadow, but not too much of that darkness. See what I'm doing, guys? Should make sense. I'm just kind of blending it out. And you're trying to dragging some of that darker color over, and you can kind of create that effect. Come back with the lighter shade just to smooth it all out. Could also use a blender, but offhand I don't even use blenders. I'll just use like darker and lighter shades together, create different effects. But we do have the blenders, so definitely check those out if you like to use those. Those are great tools for drawing. But yeah, so you can really tweak with it and go pretty deep into it. I'm not going to do that now because I just want to conclude the video. I'm going to piece this into. I'll probably throw a pic on Instagram of what it looks like when it's done. But we do got other videos to do, guys, so we got to go for this episode. But I want to give a shout out to Copic for sending out these markers. And I want to give a shout out to Molotow, my homies in Europe. What's up, guys? Just want to say what's up and thank you for sending us these new colors. I guess we didn't get a chance to try out Shock Blue, but that gives us something to review next time. Personal favorites, Poison Green and that's Fuchsia Pink, which is also a good color, but Magenta, man. Poison Green and Magenta. These are your new now and later color scheme. So get on these bad boys and you'll be quite stoked. Honorable mention, I want to give a little shout out to my homies over at Posca. Posca, 25 years and I still don't know how to pronounce it. So someone can correct me if they want to. But the metallic Posca colors, Posca, Molotow, still don't know. And I go there to visit them. Anyways, it's been a pleasure, guys. This is ArtPrimo.com signing out. Want to say peace to Harambe crew. And I just want to say thank you for watching. And definitely keep posted because we're going to make a lot more videos for the rest of summer. All right, guys. Peace.